Okay, I really wasn't expecting the beat to be like this for this game, but okay, I can dig it. Anywho, hello everyone. This is Darren Augustus, and we are about to play The Collapse, a political simulator. So this game is made by Kremlingames. It's published and developed by Kremlingames. They are the makers of China's Mao's Legacy, and they are the makers of Ostalgie, the Berlin Wall, and Crisis in the Kremlin, all of which are very great games. If you really want to jump into like historical things about the USSR and communist China and stuff like that, it's really interesting stuff. I know in Ostalgie you can play as different countries that were in the that were allied with the Soviet Union at the time. So like Germany, I don't know if Yugoslavia is one of them, but there's a few countries that you can play as, and I think they had a DLC where you can play as Cuba and you can play as North Korea. All very interesting stuff. I played China Mao's Legacy a lot. It was actually my first entry for Kremlingames, and recently I played Crisis in the Kremlin. It is a tough game. It is a real tough game. A lot of times I just mod it and stuff like that in order to play it. But yeah, it's a really fun game, and it's actually really interesting too, especially if you want to kind of dive into a look at what it was like in the Soviet Union and trying to play with those politics. And that's the funnest part about it, the politics, especially in China Mao's Legacy, because you have the whole you have actual people that you have to promote and things like that. So it's very, very interesting. Anywho, The Collapse, on the other hand, is a much more different beast. So in this particular game, you'll be playing as a member of one of the parties. I think it'll be like the actual leader of the party. And it doesn't matter whether you win or lose, you can actually still continue on even if you lose. But you'll be playing as a member in one of the ruling factions or one of the parties or whatnot. And you'll be playing in a fictional country that was a part of the former Soviet Union after it fell. So you'll have to manage a lot of things. You'll have to manage, of course, your country. You'll have to manage how your political party is seen. You'll also have to manage how you deal with relations with other countries. So, and I don't know if there's actually like other fictional countries. I think there are, but you'll also have to manage your relationship with the former USSR, or Russia in this particular case, and of course, the United States. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Also, bear with me. This is going to be probably a terrible playthrough because I have not played any of this. This is literally my first go at this. I just downloaded it. I have not touched it. I have not seen anything. This is just literally my first playthrough. So, anywho, I'm going to play on easy mode to start this off with. Actually, I might play on sandbox because I think it might be a little bit better. But yeah, I'll play in sandbox to start this off because again, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll play it for a little bit to see how things go. So anywho, these are the parties you can choose from, and they are very different from parties you might encounter here in the United States, from where I reside. So for instance, you have the Blue Guard. The Blue Guard is a national patriotic political organization. Its goal is to build a strong corporatocratic state. That's going to be interesting. Then you have the Liberal Party, aims to adopt the best of civilized American society. Interesting. Then you have the Communist Party, who I'm probably going to end up picking. Taking into account the mistakes of the Soviet past, still stands on the position of Marxist-Leninism and wants to restore socialism in new conditions. Then you have the Social Democratic Party, seeks to build a reformed capitalism where everyone will live happily and in solidarity. You have the Socialist Party, follows the example of Sweden and wants to transfer the Swedish model to Republican soil. Then you have the National People's Party, takes the best from nationalism and socialism, proclaims the third way and republic for Republicans, not for capital. Then you have the Blue Guard. So yeah, that's what we dealt with on the first. And then you have the Conservative Party, seeks to build a state with a controlled market economy and a special national development path. So let's see what we got here. After the old leaders fled the country, it was you who formed the provisional government, and the parliament was equally divided between all parties. The elections are coming. Don't lose your chance. So just a fair warning, Kremlingames, of course, is a Russian, I think, developer. So you're going to see some typos. You're going to see some errors and stuff like that. So you have to be mindful of that. So Last Hero. Achievements are only available in this mode. Attention, a scenario should not be any lighter than the standard one. Okay. I will take that into consideration, but let me play around with this first, and then we'll see how it goes. Okay. 1951, new member of society. August morning of 1951. On this sunny day, you first saw this world full of surprises. You were born into a family of a member of the Capital's District Party Committee, simple Republican miner, collective farmer from the Eastern Hinterland. Oh, okay, so it's kind of like suzerain, how you have to kind of set your background. I'm going to say I was a member of the Capitalist District Party Committee. You grew up in a prosperous and intelligent family, which did not know the problems with deficit and need for anything. Life went on as usual, but due to the fact that your father stayed up late at party work and was on frequent business trips, you rarely saw him. Life is a continuous series of adventures. Let it be so. Future awaits. Sure. You are a boy. Oh, okay, so you can choose between male and female. Interesting. A week later, the woman in labor was discharged from the maternity hospital with you. All relatives and friends on that day shared the happiness of your parents. Your father first took you in his arms and said, "Look, dear, he is like a dad." Uh, Life is a continuous series of adventures. At school, you were one of the most successful students, constantly participating in various Olympiads in the humanities and often won various prizes. The teachers admired your talent and prophesied a great future. You graduated from high school with a gold medal and are now ready to move on to the next stage of your life. You chose economic faculty of the Metropolitan State University, higher party school under the Central Committee of the CPSU. I served the Soviet Union. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know what effects these are gonna have, so I'm gonna say higher party school under the Central Committee of the CPSU. Thanks to the Soviet education system and your personal efforts, you easily entered the most prestigious Soviet university. You diligently studied Marxist-Leninist philosophy and dug deep into science. The first course flew by instantly. New acquaintances, studies, student life, great time. Future awaits. You also studied hard at the university, and your work did not go unnoticed. Multiple medals and prizes at all union competitions confirm this. In your third year, you made good friends with your classmate Sergei Vinogradov, who until then had always remained in the shadows. Sergei, by origin, was the son of the director of one large Republican enterprise known throughout the Union. Once, when you were once again preparing together for the final exam in the dialectical materialism, Sergei mentioned that inauthentic socialism was built in the Soviet Union. He told you about a secret group of Marxist-Leninists which began distributing leaflets against the CPSU throughout the city. Your friend invited you to join the underground movement, but he said that this case is very dangerous. You interesting. Um, yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, the KGB was, oof, they were pretty good. So I don't know if I want to get involved with this, but at the same time, if this is around the time of the collapse of the Soviet Union, they were having some problems with the well, problems with theory, I guess you could say. Um, I'll listen to my friend and join the movement. You have joined the circle of Marxist-Leninists. One night, Sergei came after you, and together you went to the headquarters, which was the apartment of one of the members. You were introduced to the general ideology of the movement and told about the charter. It turns out that Stalin perverted the Leninist idea much more, and not in the way it was said at the XX Congress. The circle members read out excerpts from Trotsky's New Course and the Revolution Betrayed, criticized the suppression of the Prague Spring, and discussed the possibility of restoring genuine Marxism in the USSR. You were shocked. However, in the morning, when everyone was about to leave, the headquarters was raided. One member turned out to be a traitor and sold the whole company. The militia arrested everyone. However, Sergei somehow managed to get away with it. And your father, a member of the capital's regional party committee, stood up for you. Others were expelled from university. Oh boy. Interesting. Very, very interesting. I don't know much about Trotsky's actual beliefs, but I know that I really was scared of Trotsky is in Crisis in the Kremlin, because I think their end game was always that, like, you ended up getting to a nuclear exchange and yeah, the world was screwed. So future awaits. The days followed each other, the years passed, and suddenly the last course came. You also continued to study well and often spent your free time with Sergei. Once in the library, Sergei accidentally met his compatriot Nina and introduced you to her. You, as a person not very fond of new acquaintances, unfriendedly shook her hand, but then you saw her eyes. Something inside you changed dramatically. The lump in your throat prevented you from uttering and squeezing out even one word. You did not notice how that evening passed. She said that she had come from the east of Republic to enter the same university. She also left you her address and invited you to come in for a cup of tea somehow. You were in seventh heaven. You were impressed by her beauty, her mind, her friendliness. I'll say her mind. Your life will no longer be the same. You increasingly begin to spend time together, which made Sergei very sad, with whom you, on the contrary, began to see less and less often. Future awaits! Nevertheless, student life went on as before. On one completely ordinary day, director's staff invited the famous Chilean communist Manuel Lucanos to give a lecture. As you know, quite recently, a coup d'etat took place in Chile, as a result of which the socialist government of Salvador Allende was overthrown and a military junta headed by Augusto Pinochet came to power. Lucanos, known for his outstanding oratory skills, spoke about all the brutality of the established Chilean regime: mass executions, repressions against communists and their sympathizers, growing social stratification, poverty, and misery. This is how he described his once prosperous homeland after the military uprising. You sympathetically receive what was heard. Hmm. You reacted with sympathy to the hardships of the Chilean people, who are now having a very hard life under the yoke of the fascist government of Pinochet. At lunch, you shared your opinion with Sergei, but he only said that this is senseless propaganda. But it is better to keep quiet about such things if you don't want to get kicked out of the university like those Marxist-Leninists. Future waits! You graduated from the Institute of Marxism-Leninism, and your talent did not go unnoticed. You were invited to work in the capital's regional party committee, where you took the position of chief specialist of the department. You very quickly became friends with the head of the organization. He, to some extent, became your mentor and helped you get used to a new place. However, he very often went out to the places to resolve issues, so it wasn't very problematic to find him at the workplace. When he was absent, his deputies often loaded the work on you. In fact, you should wait. Oh God, his deputies often loaded you with work that, in fact, you should not do. Because of this, you very often left work closer to midnight. I will continue to work. Yeah, I've been in plenty of crappy ass jobs, and yeah, this isn't the first time. This lasted for several weeks, but one day the director's secretary came up to you and kindly invited you along with the company to go to a bar and have a couple of glasses. He apologized and said that they had such a tradition of trust checking new employees. You had a great time and eventually became fully integrated into the team. Soon you got a promotion. Life is a continuous series of adventures. And now the moment has come. You've already met for several years and have become truly inseparable. You just need to gain strength and tell her this. Marry me. And she agreed. The wedding was pompous. Many guests and relatives came, but Sergei, whom you have not seen for a year, has completely disappeared somewhere. And he didn't even congratulate you in return. Despite the fact that the invitation was sent according to your position, you received a spacious 2-room apartment and celebrated a housewarming. This is how your happy life together began. Life is a continuous series of adventures. For the past 3 years, you have worked hard in your position and your work has not been wasted. On the recommendation of the secretary of the regional party committee, you got to work in the Republican Komsomol, becoming its chairman. Your family was offered to give free car. However, you have been using your father's official Volga for a long time, which was given to him according to his position. You, realizing that you don't need a car, as an honest communist, refuse as there are those who need it more. You gave up on an advantageous position, for which you earned the respect of your colleagues. Nevertheless, even without a second car, your family lives prosperously and does not know the problem of the shortage of luxury goods. By the beginning of the 80s, it has become very aggravated. Let it be so. The 22nd Olympic Games are to open very soon. As you know, Republic will host the preliminary games and quarterfinals of the football tournament. So Moscow demands to carry out intensified propaganda work with our citizens and tourists in order to demonstrate the advantages of the socialist system. This task was assigned to your party department. Perhaps if everything goes on at the highest level, then you can count on a raise. You decided to order the Gosselin to mint a large number of sickle and hammer badges and make the museum, let me see, carry out party work with party members and hang up posters. Invite a rock band to compose patriotic songs. Well, this doesn't seem very communist. Carry out party work with party members and hang up posters or, I'm not sure. I'm kind of want to choose between these two, so I will carry out the party work with party members and hang up posters. The members of the CPSU were given instruction on how to communicate with foreigners. The Soviet citizens must stand firm defending the interests of the motherland and not be led by the provocations of the Western imperialists, but at the same time maintain friendly relations with visiting tourists and conform to the moral character of communists. The propaganda brochure said. Posters were displayed throughout the capital demonstrating the achievements of the Soviet Union. Western citizens were very impressed by the pictures of Soviet life, the achievement of culture and economies. Before that, they only imagined the USSR as a closed totalitarian country with an all-powerful KGB. However, as it turned out, under socialism, the same people live as in the West, with their feelings and experiences, happy with life. The Olympics went off with a bang. The USSR took first place in the medal standing. This, of course, is not surprising given that Western countries successfully boycotted the competition, and a large amount of material appeared for Soviet propaganda. Behind the Iron Curtain, there were more than once cases when children or students with Soviet badges were expelled from schools and universities. The Soviet leadership noticed your efforts and awarded you the Order of Lenin. Isn't it the highest honor, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the highest honors? I could be wrong. The future awaits. Today is a lucky day. You had twins, a boy and a girl. Your joy knew no bounds. However, lately you have given yourself completely to work and have spent very little time with your family now. It's time to correct this misunderstanding. I won't be a power-hungry douchebag this time. Remembering your childhood, which passed virtually without a father, you decided to give your children a real childhood and devoted your life to raising children. You begin to return home earlier, shifted some of the powers to your secretaries, and also spend more time with your family. You gave your mother-like daughter the name Nadezhda, and you named your son Stephen in honor of your grandfather, a hero of the Civil War. Despite a prosperous family life, you constantly come to work absent-minded and do not have time to complete everything on time. Let it be so. Life was relatively peaceful. Your family lived in prosperity, not knowing the problems of the growing deficit and need for anything. But one day, the black government Volga stopped at your place of work. Obviously a big dump from the regional committee. But why? Several people hurried up to the third floor of the building. You heard how the loud clatter of shoes, obviously Czechoslovak ones, was constantly approaching. And now, a knock on your office. You automatically walked to the door and opened it. 3 men in coats and formal hats entered the room. Chief among them, on his left chest, shone the medal Hero of Socialist Labor and the badge 50 years in the CPSU. It was Nikolai Slamevsky, the first secretary of the CPR, de facto leader of the entire republic. Well, comrade, help out your own party, he began. Moscow expects from us 300,000 tons of coal. We now have, God forbid, half of all this. You are smart people. A number here, a dozen there, and the required number will be found. You don't want to disappoint Leonid Ilyich, do you? He is not well. He is not well now. In general, I hope for your dad's comrade. Him. Oh yes. I heard that domestic video recorders began to be produced in Voronezh. I am an old man and do not understand this, but you will need it. A useful thing in everyday life. If you try, well, we will put you on special supplies. Do you agree? He asked. I'm not sure what to think of this exchange. I agreed, I guess. The party said it is necessary. You answered yes. Slamevsky was able to report to Moscow about the full implementation of the plan, and you became one of the first owners of video recorders in the Republic. You also received the Medal of Socialist Labor and a considerable number of that checks. Life is a continuous series of adventures. Several months have already passed since the death of Brezhnev. The not young Yuri Andropov, the former head of the KGB, became the new leader of the Soviet Union. It is known that despite serious health problems, Yuri Vladimirovich enthusiastically began to cleanse all corrupt officials from the state apparatus and remove people disloyal to himself from the Central Committee, replacing them with younger and more promising party members. Various anti-corruption cases broke out throughout the Union, which also affected the Republic. Nikolai Slamevsky, the first secretary of the CPR, who led Republic since Khrushchev's times, has long been considered a symbol of corruption. The investigation of corruption abuses in Republic received a new impetus, which is explained by Andropov's long tenure as chairman of the KGB of the USSR, and as a consequence by the fact that he had information about the actual state of affairs in the Republic, as well as the hostile relations that had developed earlier between Andropov and Slamevsky. The so-called miners case thundered across the Republic. You also got on the list of suspects. However, quickly realizing the possible consequences, you roll over on everyone involved in the machinations in the Republican mines. For your loyalty, you received a new position, the first secretary of the capital's regional party committee. Slamevsky committed suicide a month after the incident. In your new position, you were disliked for obvious ties with Moscow. So it seems like... Oh, okay, I thought for a second that was grayed out. You will maneuver between local party officials in the Kremlin, continue the pro-Moscow course, try to distance yourself from Moscow. I will try to move between the local party officials and the Kremlin. You have skillfully tried to contain the tension between the local elites and the Kremlin, trying to save several potentially innocent party members from persecution, for which you earned the respect of the Republican Party members. Gennady Zubov, loyal to Andropov, became the new first secretary of the CPR. Future waits. It just so happened that Yuri Vladimirovich died, and recently a new anecdote was born in the country. Konstantin Ustanovich Chernenko, without regaining consciousness, took up his duties as general secretary in the party. In the USSR, the so-called apartment concerts have long been widespread. A concert held in an ordinary apartment at home. Under Brezhnev, the attitude towards them was tolerant. But now, on the initiative of Chernenko, performing at such amateur concerts is equated with entrepreneurial activity that violates the monopoly of the USSR state concert. In this regard, Moscow demands to carry out demonstrative raids on apartment owners. You Interesting. Well, I mean, they not that far from fallen, so then again, I am supposed to be a good communist. Well, I guess I could fulfill the order. You have fulfilled Moscow's instructions. Several famous rock performers in narrow circles were arrested. Nevertheless, the people, and especially the youth, did not like this state of affairs. The future awaits. After the sudden death of Konstantin Chernenko, who 2 days before his death, while undergoing medical treatment, supported by Viktor Grishin, suddenly appeared on the television screen during the elections to the Supreme Soviet of the FSR, and with difficulty uttered a few welcoming praises. A young and ambitious newcomer from the Stavropol, Mikhail Gorbachev, became the General Secretary of the CPSU Central Committee. All citizens of the Union associated their future and change of life for the better with his name. Oh boy. Yeah, we already know how this is going to turn out. Warmly welcome the new leader. We're waiting. You decided not to make any hasty decisions and to wait. In Moscow, meanwhile, the first party reshuffles begin. Old party workers leave their places and make way for the young. The other day, during a record short plenum of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Republic, which lasted only 28 minutes, Gennady Zubov, an ethnic Republican and no longer a young leader of the CPR, appointed by Andropov, was removed from the post as first secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of the Republic. In his place was elected the first secretary of the Astrakhan Regional Committee of the CPSU, Vasily Drozdov, sent on the recommendation of the General Secretary of the CPSU Central Committee. Russian by nationality, the Republicans were hostile to the Varangian sent by Moscow. However, student rallies soon broke out in the capital. The demonstrations began with the first groups of the Republican youth came out demanding that Drozdov's appointment be canceled. Rumors of a performance in the square instantly spread throughout the city. In the morning, crowds of young people, led by active national patriots, came out in front of the building of the Central Committee. The demonstrators' posters read, "We demand self-determination. Each nation has its own leader. Don't be 37. Put an end to the great power madness. Moscow demands an immediate end to nationalism in the Republic." Well, I hate to kind of admit this, but I love to send in the military to deal with things in crisis in the Kremlin. Let's send the military to break up this demonstration. Detached militias unit dispersed students' demonstrations, not without sacrifices. Moscow ordered to classify information about the rallies and not to display anything about them in the media, as well as to hold party members at enterprises and in factories. Order restored. Yeah, I do remember, I think every single playthrough I did in Crisis in the Kremlin, I can't remember the guy's name, but I played as the Stalinist guy, and I think I spent the entire beginning of the game where you have to kind of decide how things go just using the military. It just seemed to be far more easier. The future awaits. Today you have had a particularly good day. You've been invited to tomorrow's meeting of the Central Committee of the CPR, at which quite possibly the question of accepting you as a candidate for the Bureau of the Central Committee of the CPR will be raised. However, on the same day, a children's matinee will be held at school for your children, who have already gone to first grade. But what is more important to you, family or career? You've chosen the only correct path, and I did say I wasn't gonna be a douche to my kids. Shite. Well, damn it, kids. Okay, I will go to the matinee. You made the only correct decision and went to the children's matinee. During the performance of your children, you were so glad that you shed a mean man's tear with happiness. On this day, you were not included in the list of candidates for the Bureau, but you felt like a real father. Life is a continuous series of adventures. Today, your secretary brought you a folder with a list of the visitors you were supposed to receive today. Among them, you saw Sergei Vinogradov. You looked in surprise and wondered if it was him. The last time you saw Sergey more than 10 years ago, and after there was not a rumor about him. However, 10 years ago, and after there was not a rumor about him. Wait, okay, I got confused. However, in the early 80s, through the third parties, you heard that he managed to escape from the Soviet Union to the West, but nothing more. Nevertheless, the working day was coming to an end, but the most expected visitor never came. You've already started getting ready to go home, and at that moment, there was a knock on the door. A man with a mustache, wearing imported jeans and a short sleeved shirt, walked through the door. It was Sergey. You did not immediately recognize him, since has changed significantly during this time and no longer looks like the downtrodden student that he was. It was seen quite recently. Well, hello. I see you've gotten a good job for so many years, he began. I know. We haven't seen each other for a long time. I'm sorry it happened. All this time, he wandered around the small office and seemed to say this to himself. You, ahem, or rather, most likely you, he said the last word with obvious malice, glancing at the order of linen on your jacket, can ask yourself, where did I disappear for so long? So I answer in advance, I managed to escape from the Union. Let's omit the question of how. In the early 80s, I contacted the country's largest group of dissidents who published banned literature in the USSR through their samizdat. What for? So I then got the idea to write my own book, in which I could show the truth about life in the USSR. It is understandable that there is such a truth that Soviet censors would never have admitted to the press. But censored Chekists started hunting us when I tried to smuggle it to the West, so I had to flee the country. At first I lived in the FRG. I even saw Prav himself, and then I left for France. By the way, here's my book. I can leave an autograph right now if you wish. He finished and threw a book on the table with the laconic title, Half the Country Jailed. No wonder it was banned, you said with a grin. But if you wanted to see me, then why didn't you just come to our house for a cup of tea? Sergei thoughtfully looked at Gorbachev's portrait in his office for about a minute and finally said, this is all because of him, you know. In the West, my masterpiece has become a real bestseller, but it has not yet been published in the USSR. My citizenship was recently returned to me and I rushed here right away. Generally, I will say briefly, there is an orientation to make some serious dough, as young people now say. You have recently legalized joint ventures with foreigners here, and so the customs office is a complete mess. If you help me to pass all this bureaucratic red tape, then we can get rich quite robustly. How? Perhaps you ask. Yes, just like that. He pointed in amazement at a large box, which stood at the door. What is it, you asked? This, my dear, our future business. He answered and took out a device from the box. In the West, they are already everywhere, but in the USSR, they haven't thought of such a miracle of technology yet. Game consoles for TV. If everything goes like clockwork, then the profit will be simply cosmic. We just need to fool these idiots from customs and take it to the country under the guise of a batch of computers, and then we will sell it to the state agencies at exorbitant prices under the guise of new models. Of course, I won't hurt you with a share either. Do you agree, brother? He asked, looking at you with manic gaze. You know, while I do want the game consoles, on the other hand, I haven't seen your ass in God knows how long. And I feel like this could be bad. I like video games though, so I will agree to the offer. I agree. You yourself understand times are difficult now. Any income is useful, you answered. Sergey put the box back and shook your hand. From now on, you and I are partners, buddy. Sergey really did not deceive you. After a couple of calls to the customs, as well as several suitcases with rubles, A stable stream of gaming devices in the USSR improved, and you were one of the ones who got a considerable percentage of sales. Let it be so. Perestroika went according to plan until the fateful 1989. At the end of last year, the 19th Party Conference outlined the holding of elections to a new body of state power, the Congress of People's Deputies of the USSR. Nevertheless, contrary to your expectations, you lost the elections and were not included in the list of People's Deputies. At the March meeting of the Politburo, you said that all 7 party leaders, representatives of the administrative and military circles, lost in the capital. In July 1989, during the arrival in the capital, Gorbachev demanded that you resign for health reasons from the post of first secretary of the Capital City Party Committee. After that, Mikhail Sergeyevich asked you if there are worthy party members in the capital who can take this important post. You recommended him. Important party member, familiar intellectual. I'm going to say a familiar intellectual. You advised Gorbachev to appoint your close friend and employee of the Institute of Agrochemistry, a military scientist, Vasily Grigoriev, the only member of the 6 running members of the Bureau of the Metropolitan Regional Committee of the CPSU who managed to win these elections. A few days later, he replaced you in the position. At work in the regional committee, he began to whip out all infectious liberal ideas from the party members, remaining an apolitical supporter of a strong state. Let it be so. You experienced very hard such a sudden betrayal of the party, for the benefit of which you have worked all your life. However, in the early 1990s, you had the chance to return to politics. You put forward your candidacy in the election of the People's Deputies of Republic and won. Nevertheless, despite the fact that you ran for the CPSU, during your speech at the first Congress of the People's Deputies, you declared your categorical disagreement with the party's position and announced your withdrawal from it, joining the left wing of the United Opposition, formed during the Congress and united around itself all the opponents of the CPSU. After your triumphant speech, you were invited to the first Constituent Party Congress of the opposition, at which the issue of nominating a single candidate for the all-Republican presidential elections was to be decided. Among the leaders of the UO are Boris Shabalsky and Evgeny Zulnik. The first is an ardent nationalist and Democrat, a supporter of the sovereignty of the Republic, while the second is a socialist reformer, adherent of the Swedish model. Many opposition figures supported one of the candidates, and now you start your speech and propose to nominate the socialist reformer. You propose to nominate Yevgeny Zulnik, a well-known socialist and supporter of reforms, as a candidate. Republic needs a person who will be able to carry out the correct reforms aimed primarily at improving the lives of citizens, you said. The Congress turned out to be in complete solidarity with you and elected Zulnik as the only opposition candidate. Zulnik, in turn, offered Strabutsky the post of vice president, to which the latter agreed. Let it be so. Zulnik and Shabalsky easily defeated the candidate from the CPSU. However, over time, you begin to become more and more disillusioned with the opposition politics. If in 1990 the country already looked sick, but the power was still strong, then 1991 was the year of crisis. The commodity deficit had reached its climax. Market reforms have just begun, but the planning system is no longer working. The Republic was on the verge of starvation. President Zulnik actually turned out to be a real populist and careerist, showing his true populist guise. Empty reforms and exclamations, reforms for the good of the people, completely plunged the country into the abyss of anarchy. On August 18th, the day of your 40th birthday, you learned about the coup in Moscow. You no longer believed anyone and fell into complete apathy, fearing for the fate of your country. After the defeat of the coup, you understood that this could not continue. You fully realized that the united opposition turned out to be not an opposition at all, but a pitiful handful of populists rushing to the feeding trough. After the failure of the coup, You realize that there is no political force in the country that will really pull the republic out of the abyss of crisis. You are finally ready to found your party. Your own brainchild, which includes all people close to you in terms of views. Soon, the party will surely gain mass character. In December 1991, President Stroboski signed the Capital Republican Accords, thereby securing the collapse of the USSR. However, the very next day, mass rallies began throughout the republic. People, people dissatisfied with the lack of food, lack of gas supply, unemployment, and general chaos around, took up arms against the president, who they themselves elected just over a year ago. The militia sent by the government to quell the protests refused to raise weapons against their own citizens. Fighting for their fate, Shlabowski and Zulnik quickly realized that it was time to flee. Otherwise, it would be too late. Taking a couple of $100 million from the budget, they quickly fled the Republic, leaving the country even without any power. The Supreme Council of the Republic had to schedule new elections for April 1992. Jesus. All right, so now we're into the game. Oh God, it's terrible. Why do we have a budget of 666? Okay. All right, let's see what we have here. We have the administrative map. So this is the actual country itself. I guess these are the different regions here. And basically where they kind of at on certain things. So liberal population. Okay, so this is the breakdown of the political population. And this is the breakdown of the control of businesses. Okay. We have no national projects. Oh, okay, so you have national projects you can turn around and do. You can only do 3 at a time. Okay. So special economic zone or economic zone, spiritual food, affordable housing, literacy and culture, healthy republic, business and development, order and security. The region is in the hands of the party. Okay. And of course, you have the actual things that you can, the actual requirements that you have to meet. So let's see the factions we have here. The National Association of Cartels. The faction does not want and never will cooperate with leftist terrorists. Club of Generals. Okay. Oh, so this is like what you can do in order to bribe them, I guess, to a certain degree. Okay, yeah, this is diplomacy. So we will provide them with financial assistance in order to strengthen friendly ties. Okay. So you can give them money. You can, by promoting activists and politicians belonging to this faction, we are doing a common cause administrative resource. Okay, interesting. Let's see, support. We will publicly express our support for this force, which can turn its opponents away from us, but will allow us to show that we are together. Support of all classes, 10. Our influence on them, 100. Let's hold a joint congress of our party and their organizations, trying to find a common ground. Okay. Law. They want changes in the law, and we are a member of parliament. Why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Interesting. Conscription. The rules for conscription should be simplified. Large army, strong commanders. Interesting. Credentials. Are soldiers building summer cottages? Do they transport the families of the generals? Paint the streets. The main thing is that they don't make riots. Okay. Recruits. With the help of our comrades, we are able to recruit more resident spies into our combat structure. Blackmail. Having hired a couple of detectives and bribed a couple of their members, we will start collecting dirt. Legal actions, less than. Interesting. This is action. The management of this organization has money in sacks. Let them spend them on charity, or it will be worse. RF. By pulling the strings of their comrades in Russia, this organization will be able to help our 2 countries get along. Okay. Oh, okay, so by using these, yeah, it'll gain influence between Russia and the United States. Points. Using its connections among the security forces, the RWC will help us increase our influence in the state apparatus. Okay. Let's see. Require. Let them restrict their illegal actions. The law is the same for everyone. Order must prevail in our land. Conspiracy. The current system is rotten and does not correspond to the realities of life. And I hope our comrades understand this. And if so, isn't it time for us to organize? Didn't make. Who? Republic is a colossus with feet of clay. One has only to hit the gates of the House of Soviets, and rotten power crumbles, giving way to our will. Conspiracy. Unrest. The current government has its vulnerabilities, and our comrades have increased their strength. So maybe it's time to carry out an honest redistribution of power. Okay. Lobbying. Let our comrades lobby for the disappearance of some information about us from the folder of law enforcement officers. Okay. Interesting. And that's research. So we have the internet. It's time to abandon the outdated FidoNet and only connect to the global network, but also develop our own national resource. Interesting. Marketing. Marketing technologies are good not only for trade, but also for political propaganda. Entertainment for everyone, but we don't promise bread. Sex rev. We must abandon the remnants of the Soviet past and adopt Western innovations. The culture of consumption and commodity fetishism. Okay. Scripts. Using scripts for playing on stock exchanges will allow us to perform more profitable and efficient exchange operations. Nuclear plant. In Soviet times, the construction of a nuclear power plant was the norm, which means that our sovereign country can also afford to have a couple. Homo. Reality is disgusting and only brings melancholy. Of course, only if you are a simple person. What to do? Get away from it as far as possible. Hide in modernity. And don't stop us from rule. Disc, cassettes, and gramophone records. No, CDs are the future. They are cheaper, more efficient, and more spacious. It's time for them to mass produce. Network. It's time for us to start equipping houses, cafes, and streets with wireless internet. Progress does not stand still. Sit back and the wires will no longer interfere. Smartphones. Okay. Phones. Come here. Phones are no longer just a means of communication. It's now a compact computer in your pocket. Fashionable, effective, and useful. Take it. Satellites. The exploitation of other people's satellites is an expensive and unsafe thing. We must learn to launch our own, even if we have to pay foreigners to launch. Okay? Cosmodrome. It's time for us to land on the moon. Well, or at least launch a man into space. Or at least a dog. In general, build a cosmodrome. Okay, interesting. A lot of different research there. I like it. Okay, let's see what we have for ministers. All right. Okay, so is this like the different options we have for operating with the different ministries? Oh boy, this is a lot. This is a lot. We need to support small farmers so the villagers. Are these different for each one? Yeah, these are actually pretty different. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to play around with this a lot. I'm gonna have to play around with this quite a bit. Let's see. As head of government, we can demand that the budget of this month be reallocated in favor of our administration. Interesting. Purges. Corruption is off the charts in our home ministry. We will have to take drastic and radical measures. Mass layoffs, mass rotations, mass purges. Although this will have an impact on our performance, it will cleanse us of corrupt officials. Money in the ministry, 100, and operability, 75. Okay. Interesting. All very interesting. Impeachment. The current president of the republic has committed many illegal acts. So maybe it's time to organize an impeachment. Heard that word. At all here in the United States. All right. Okay, so ministries, and this was one part of initially, I saw this on Twitter and I saw this on a couple of the forums. This was what I was interested in, is that you have different ways of kind of operating with the different parties. So you have legal actions, you have illegal actions, and you have foreign relations. So legal actions, we have rallies. We must organize mass rallies near the homes of deputies of the unfriendly party in order to force them to grow wiser. Raises the event. Purge. We must rid the party of revisionists and opportunists here and now. Media. By bribing whoever we need and going through a series of bureaucratic procedures, we will be able to recreate our party media under a new name. Interesting. Collection. It is required to announce an urgent collection of contributions from all members of our party. People will be unhappy, but the party urgently needs their money. Okay. Buy. We can buy 10 of our currency on the Republican exchange. Current rate of our currency. Oh boy, this is going to be. Ooh, this is deep. This is real deep. Illegal actions. Recruits. Using our connections, front companies, and monetary rewards, we can find new residents for our war wing. Conditions. Oh, so you can have like little mini civil wars, I'm guessing? Bank. We should put some of the party money into a secret account in a Swiss bank so that in the event of unforeseen circumstances and persecution, everyone is calm about the availability of an inviolable amount of money, and the party bosses will spend some on personal expenses. Okay. Attack. We will attack several rallies of the supporters of hostile parties, sowing chaos and fear in their hearts. Raises the event. Connect. We will establish contacts with the international underground, Mujahideen, RAF, UNITA, and others. It makes no difference to us, if only they know how to bang loudly. Okay, all right. Wing. We can no longer be content with only peaceful action. The situation forces us to found an illegal fighting wing for special actions. Right now it's disabled. HQ. One of our combat units must capture and defeat the enemy party, so we will get compromising evidence and show who is in charge here. Raises the event. March. We will gather all of our supporters and hold a march along the main streets of the capital to the Parliament building. We will show who is in power. Again, we haven't seen anything like that in the United States here recently. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Surround. The militant detachments of our party will be able to show civic activity in a matter of time and take the Parliament building under protection. The deputies now have no one to fear but us. Oh boy. Terror. We are organizing targeted terror against activists and prominent figures of the party hostile to us. Let them shake with fear. Oh boy. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna do some stuff. What do I have here? Next election is on 4/1/1992. Blue Guard has 25 seats. The Conservative has 25 seats. The Liberal have 25 seats. So yeah, we all have 25 seats. Okay, I would like that to change. So our party unity is that 0 or is that 87? I'm kind of confused. Okay, so yeah, it's at 87. Lower class support is at 13. I'm guessing that's not good. Middle class support is at 12. And the upper class support is at 0. Oof. It's not, well, we're communists, so it makes sense. Party budget is 666. Administrative resources. Okay. And we're at 50 apiece for relations with Russia and the United States. Aggressiveness of the lower class is at 36, so they're kind of aggressive. Aggressiveness of the middle class is at 16 and 9 for this. So, and we're currently paused. Okay. There's a lot going on, and I'm going to have to play with this quite a bit. But, okay. So then they have, let me see, Edward. What are you? Oh, these are different songs. Okay, cool. Yeah, this is going to be quite a journey. Okay, let me see here. Let me just start off with a project. How about that? Let's start off with some projects. We will do... that's 500 though, so I can only do one. Ooh boy. So maybe I should do some research or something first. first. How about that? Yeah, let's do research. We must adopt Western social technologies to improve the efficiency of our businesses. Communication. Cellular communication should stop being just a military technology and become a reality available to everyone. I mean, I'm guessing with the economy being shit, we probably shouldn't do that. RSS distribution of news feeds will allow people to not only be informed but also informed correctly. MCST2 to protect government agencies from external interference. We must develop our own closed computers. Okay. So what do I want? What do I want? Let's do social text. Can we do that? Are you actually doing anything? Maybe not. Maybe I can't do that. Okay. Yeah, I don't think that's doing anything. All right. What is this again? This is the map. 1991, 2003. Oh, okay. So these are like future things that is going to happen depending on how we proceed. Okay. So maybe everything is still disabled for right now. All right, let's let this ride for a little bit. Okay, we have our first little event. So yeah, that's another thing about like Crisis of the Kremlin, China Mao's legacy, and things like that. Events will pop up from time to time, and there will be certain things where you can actually have a choice in it, and the choice will depend upon certain resources you have, like the money and things like that, or certain relations you have with certain countries. So I'm guessing the same thing is going to be here. So, homeless homeland. Former German astronaut founded the first taxi network in East Germany. Less than a month later, the Bolshevik agreements were signed, and new problems fell on the already independent republic. President Zulnik and Vice President Sherbetsky left the country after the mass rallies that have engulfed the republic in the past few days. Woe reformers and patriots of the nation who vowed that with the fall of communism, we would all finally live like in the West, took with them, according to some resources, several million budget funds and immigrated to Switzerland. Their well being, of course, has improved significantly, perhaps for them, in a sense. The communism promised by the Soviet government came, whatever you can say about the standard of living of citizens. The protest ended with the fact that the government of Republic, after negotiations with the strikers, agreed to transfer power before the new elections to the Provisional Republican Committee, formed from the deputies of the Supreme Soviet. The elections themselves are scheduled for May of this year, and it is currently January. No, it is February. Okay, that means we probably need to start working on stuff. All right. So how do I? Oh, okay. Next. Well, off to a great start already. Okay, what can I do though? What can I do? I guess at the very least I can do... Oh, what is this? What did I just click on? Oh, the laws. Okay, okay. This is the laws. So we have gun carrying law, road law. Oh, okay. And then you can set the level. Okay. So what would happen if I had it at like pistols under license? Oh, did I just literally change it to that? Oh God. Oh, okay. Let's just not do that right now. Let's just not. Okay. Road law, private allowed, state free, owned by regions. I think it probably should be owned by the regions. Yeah. Let's change that to owned by the regions. Okay. Let's see. Border control. Free migration. Don't have a problem with that. let's see, where was I at with you? Road law, let's close that. Gun carrying law, let's close that, deal with that another time. Let's see, pension security, mixed system. Okay. I do need to change that to only the state. Oh, okay. So you can put forward something. So if I change it to that, I can put forward if I actually wanted to do that. Okay. Pollution control, labor law, court control. Appointed by the state. Okay. Closed judges only, free election of judges. Okay. Supervision of prisoners, special amnesty, comfortable conditions, free labor, compulsory work, labor camps. Okay. Alcohol law, persons over the age of 16, smoking law only for adults, marijuana law prohibited. You know, it would be real stupid for me to just start off with that, so I want to address this right now. Militia rights. Long-term arrests, let me see, European level People's Guard. Interesting. Oh, okay, you can get a description of it. It is high time for us to abandon the reactionary state machine of violence, transferring the powers to supervise order on the streets to licensed and registered in the state register of lightly armed People's Guard, passing to the universal participation of the people in the militia. And nobody wants that except for us, so, and the socialists. Okay. Jesus, there's a lot of stuff here. Okay. Special services rights. Democratized services, limited rights, invasion of privacy, suppression of dissident, and patriotic special services. The people of the Republic are united by a single faith in the bright future of the nation. Therefore, the state, in order to ensure the happiness and prosperity of the Republic, must put an end to the internal and external enemies of our country. The Blue Guard is okay with that. The People's National is okay with that. The Communists are okay with that. Okay. I'm going to do that at some point. So, government intervention, main branches under the state, independent central bank, big business under pressure, dominance of state monopolies. I guess that's more like the communism with Chinese characteristics there. The state should have control over the country's strategic enterprises, resources, infrastructure, and the military-industrial complex. Mixed economy in all its glory and with all its cost. Oh, that's more of a American system. Is it? Is that more of a? The state should have control of the country's strategic enterprises. No, that's not, because yeah, we're pretty open. Yeah, that's not like us at all. So. People's National, though, they love that. God, there is a lot of stuff here. There is a lot of stuff. Okay, there is a lot of stuff here. All right, so this video has been going on for quite a long. I pretty much tackled the beginning of this. So let me know what you think. I just wanted to go ahead and just at least kind of get into it. I'm gonna play a little bit in my own spare time. But yeah, if you want me to continue playing this, I'll be more than happy to put out some videos of this, because I've been wanting to play some Kremlingames games on the channel. So yeah, just let me know what you think, and if you also have any advice, feel free to give it to me, because I know nothing of this. So I know absolutely nothing, but I'm pretty sure we all know nothing because the game literally just came out. So anywho, thank you for watching. If you would like to see more content like this on the channel, subscribe. I have plenty of stuff in my library, and I will have plenty of stuff on the way. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. See you.